Design, and further he says, design is essential to helping you communicate and connect. It surpasses all other techniques and tools, color, and yes, even value. Intent may be the only thing more important than design. This is a continuing theme with this man, and I think you're going to hear more of it tonight. Please welcome.
Thank you. Should I use the mic, or can you hear me? Thank you for having me. This is a total honor for me to come out and spend some time with you all. I'll just briefly say I'm often asked to judge shows, plein air events, critique, and when I do this, I'll have in the back of my head three things that I'm kind of looking at the art to judge whether it's, you know, the most successful ones out of the bunch. And those three things are design, as we mentioned earlier, very, very important. Number two is freshness. Some people call this courage. Some people call this certainty or confidence. But it all comes down to how is that paint applied to that panel? Do I feel the artist's emotions when I'm looking at this piece? Are those emotions fearful or are they courageous? And I'll point that out as we go. The third element I look for is story. Story is so important to art. It's corners on intent. Why are we painting this piece to begin with? What's the story that we as artists want to use to connect to the viewers that are looking at this piece, or to us ourselves as artists? What do we want to communicate? And so those three, design, freshness, and story, are the three elements that I like using when I'm looking at art, as well as when I'm painting my own paintings. Is this painting that I'm painting, does it have a solid design? If it does, it's pretty much going to paint itself. It'll stand up in any gallery, any show, if that design is true. Am I applying the paint with confidence and certainty? Whether it's right or not, true to the picture or the scene that I'm painting, but is it laid down with confidence? That's what's going to connect the viewer to that painting. And then story, do I have a strong intent on why I'm painting this painting to begin with? And so it's those three things that I'm going to look for. And I'll talk briefly about each piece tonight as we go forward. Do I need the mic, or can you guys use the mic? Okay. All right, this piece, I don't know who the artists are. Do you want me to mention the artists? Okay. I'll just say number one. Number one, anytime we have a human element in our scenes, whether it's a person, a living element like a person or an animal, or an architectural element, this is typically going to be your center of interest. This is a strong architectural design up in here, but the artist treated this so softly and light. I love the freshness of how this paint was applied. I'm seeing elements of Van Gogh in here. Excellent work on this. The color palette is all in harmony. They got the warm, fresh colors in the foreground. That's bringing the elements toward us. Good weight to this painting. And then as we go up and out beyond in the distance, the colors and values are being grayed out. So there's some good atmospheric perspective in here. One element I would like to, let me add one more thing. Look at the leading lines that they use to all bring us to this home. This is an area we want to live in, both figuratively and visually. Beautiful little boat back in here, nice warm light, and then the harmony of colors, the limited palette, very well done. I would say watch the contrast or the edge of this element right in here. If this could be softer, our eyes are my eye is attracted to this contrast area pretty strong, but I want to live up here, but my eye keeps going down here. So just in future, watch how that works. But you got to come up close to this and just really enjoy the movement and direction, all principles of design, and how this paint was laid on. Excellent example. Okay. I'll let you guys do that. Kind of handicapped there. All right, this one has got a really good use of a limited palette. The greens and the purples are analogous on the color wheel. Introducing gold in here. That yellow is kind of a tertiary color palette that they're using in this. The design is good. This is the stronger of the two designs, but our eyes kind of keep flowing in and out of here. I love how elements enter and leave the sides of the panel. These are the four most important edges of your canvas or paper. Just pay close attention on where elements come in and out. I'll be talking a lot about that on various pieces. But again, good use of design and flow on this one. I don't have anything else on this. Okay, this is number 3. Looks like a view from Italy.
Gondola is the name.
Gondola.
Gondola.
A couple things on this as far as design elements are concerned. This is a beautiful concept of framing. You're kind of giving a nice frame element in here. This is a super strong element. Watch the tangents of your shapes. This tangent is acting like an arrow pointing directly up in here, and they're not giving us anything to look at in particular. It's like an empty space. You know, yeah, this is bringing us down and around, but watch those angles pointing to something that doesn't reward us for taking that trip.
So what could you do differently?
You could soften this up, ask yourself, is this point, does it have to go almost to the tip of that rock? Can it go off and stop right there? And then very, very softly treat those edges. This is enough of a point already, but then to accentuate it with a needle that's almost touching that. But understand that as a powerful example of a tangent at work and use that to your advantage. If this is an area where you want the viewer to go, yeah, this is great. But I think they want us down in here, looking at the story that's happening back in here. Again, good use of limited palette. When you're doing water, I'm going to tell this. I tell this to my students all the time. Water is a beautiful neutralizer. When you're doing audio, you have a high note and then a low note. An equalizer kind of equalizes those high notes and low notes to kind of middle range. Water does the same thing. So your high notes, your light areas are going to be darker in the water. The darker areas are going to be lighter in the water. So it balances it out. Here, I think he's just using, or they're just using the same color and value of highlights in the water, and then the same value of dark into the water. But if you put a nice wash of, this middle value blue over, killing those highlights down just a little bit, and maybe washing a little lighter and that's blue, that'll raise that up a little bit. So, because the beautiful warmth that you have in here is really nicely done. Okay, I think I have that. Okay, this is a really nicely done, graphically, almost like a stained glass if you look at it. They're outlining their shapes in black. I love that technique. It captures shapes very nicely. Good weight to this overall piece. There's a nice dark on the bottom that gives us a nice solid weight. And then it allows the flowers to free float and around. Watch the I'm going to say the stenciling, but get some overlap in those flowers. Look for the design where they're almost touching, and they are touching in some areas. There's a little overlap here, but that's it. A little overlap maybe up there, but you've got great technique on the leaves. The flowers themselves could also overlap and create. And then pick one and really warm that up, or put some detail in there, and then allow others to, you don't have to do all that. But again, great use. You guys must be practicing color harmony. Look at the color harmony in this. It's beautiful. So that you got purples over here running into the purples in the flowers, and they got the yellow over here and the yellows in the flowers. So so well done on the color harmony, which is a great design principle. Okay, good.
Question,
Yes.
where is there a story in still life? I'm not challenging you.
That's a great question. I get that asked an awful lot. What I do is I use personification for pulling out a story in the landscape, whether it's trees or flowers. Those elements are living beings, more or less. They don't have the human soul, but they're living all the more. But so what I do is I'll use personification to put emotion, human emotion, onto that tree or that group of flowers. So those flowers could be, they had almost the segregation of those on the right over here, all one color. So they may be feeling lonely over there versus the brighter, whiter flowers over on this side. So there's you could read into that so much now with the emotion of what those flowers might have felt like being over there versus over here. So you can get into a whole social issue. But that's what I do when I'm out in the woods. I'll say, okay, here's some trees, beautifully done watercolor of trees. What's that tree feeling like? What's the emotion that tree is feeling? The story, I'll use 3 aspects of story, whether it's, and you'll see this in Hollywood movies all the time. Is there a beauty to be rescued in this scene? Or is there an adventure to live or a battle to fight? Maybe this red here is bringing conflict to me. And these stately birches are doing battle with this red ivy, or these red maples. You could read all into that. So let your imagination go wild and use your imagination and use personification. Disney does it all the time, so we can too.
Steve,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there a rule of thumb in your mind about having lines that dissect the painting, like having something smack dab in the middle, or having,
Yeah.
that kind of
I'll be
thing?
talking on a few of those.
Okay.
There are rules, not rules, but
Yeah.
principles. Learn those principles, but then be free to bend them as much as you want, or even break them. And I'll talk about that when I see the painting I want to talk about. But this one, beautifully done. Very nice light coming through this transparent watercolor. Excellent use of textures and limbs within the tree. Watch whenever you're doing a horizon, make sure that thing is straight. It does go down a little bit on this side, and which accentuates the leaning of these trees. Whenever you have a leaning tree, always counteract that lean with another tree that's maybe leaning in the other way, or a solid branch that helps support that tree. It's almost like a civil engineer or a structural engineer would be building a bridge. Are these trees going to hold up? Right now it's all kind of leaning this way, which brings us to this, which is a really fun, unique. I've never seen this. I think it's a great idea. They probably found this while they were painting this on site, but it brings, again, the real element to that. Again, the framing is beautiful for this. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on this one. Good. Okay, this is again a graphic element, strong graphic elements in here. Brilliant use of getting that Native American feel to these birds. These are so well done, and then that patterning is reflected in the grass and in the cattails. beautifully done. The one point I would say is this, as it's finished, I want this to continue off the piece. Yeah, take it all the way off, or bring the frame up. But overall, it's a really nice piece. Look at the elements. You got 2 and 3. This one's a nice bending. You're using variety as far as the shapes and the distance between the shapes. They're all different. So variety is another principle of design that if used well is just a killer principle. So okay. Okay, this is undoubtedly, a great story. It pulls emotion. The mother, child, grandmother, child out instantly. It's very well painted. Good fresh brush strokes, not labored over. And look for connections. Connections are super important in design. It could be a soft edge from one shape into another, but look at the connection between her cheek going right into her shoulder, from the hand going right into the cheek of the child. These are all connections that help us feel that deeper emotion of connection to here. Use that in your edges. If this is an oil painting, it's so easy to just blend one edge into another, and be deliberate with those connections. They add so much value. Those edges do. And one thing about flesh, when you're painting flesh, I'm going to talk about this in a couple other pieces. Look for the coolness of the flesh. Now, this could have been taken from a photograph, and that photograph had warm light, and you're true to the photograph. But look at flesh in real life, in real light conditions. There's going to be a lot of reflected light. She's wearing this nice gray, cool shirt. There should be some coolness up into that shadow parts of the flesh, up into the cheeks. There's some really good opportunity, just super subtle reflected light underneath the nose that makes this super real. But accentuate that light even more. The coolness of the light added to flesh makes flesh warmer, believe it or not. So don't be shy with the blues and the greens in that flesh tone, because that's the actual, you get the transparency of the skin that way. That's the veins that are bringing the blood back to the heart are actually blue because there's lack of oxygen. So get that blueness back into that flesh.
Is that for Caucasians only?
Every race has that, yeah. And then watch the temperature shift of the face to the hand. The hands are usually cooler in tone, in hue, in temperature. So just vary the hand temperature just ever so slightly. Add a little more quinacridone violet or red to that flesh tone. That's going to bring that up even more. But I love the variation of flesh of her and from versus the child's elbow. That was so well done. Okay, I think I have that one.
Feel the love in that picture.
Oh yeah,
Feel it.
yeah. And I'm recent grandfather, so ×2 and then one on the way. So okay. This is number 8. Rose of Sharon. This is a super soft painting. Clearly, the hero of the story is the flower itself. Good shape overall here. Not so much. It's all about color in this one. There's not much value. Not sure if this was done from a photograph. My instincts tell me yes, or a poorly lit still life, if at all. Pay attention to light and how that light is affecting those shapes. If you are painting from life in a still life, make sure invest in good lighting. These are good lights. You know, these GVMs. I have a set of these at home. You could vary the temperature, vary the intensity, the angle, and use these for your still lives and really look at the light and the shadow.
What kind of lights are those called?
These are LEDs,
GVM.
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 It's a couple $100 to get the whole system,
Yeah.
or I think you get a dual pack. They're all on Amazon. But winter is here. Paint still lives at home. You know, go to Trader Joe's, get some great flowers, and paint them up. When you're doing these, great opportunity. You know how these petals are almost translucent. I love the edge of light. This rim light here. It's kind of giving us a little glow. Perfect opportunity would be to just super subtly just get this stem going through, and then the leaf back in here. It'll add a whole new layer to this petal, and get that translucent effect of that petal. Okay, good. Number 9.
Rocket.
All right, here's one of the rules that you want to break. But when you break it, you know. They always say don't put anything right smack in the middle. This is, I think they wanted it in the middle, but it's slightly off to the edge. But then you got a nice moon that kind of counteracts that. But if you're going to put it in the middle, put it in the middle. The weight of this to that is super, just off. But overall, good overall design. There was this, I'll tell you a story about this. We were at the Bluff Strokes event in Dubuque, Iowa. Mark Anderson, who, if you follow him, he's a really good artist out of Wisconsin. And he saw these traffic cameras right in the middle of the street. And as a quick paint, he decided to put that right smack in the middle of his painting, and just slap the viewers in the face pretty much with these security cameras looking at every corner of everything. And you know, the piece itself was superbly done. I'm surprised it didn't sell, but it didn't sell that time. But he knew the rule, and he broke it because it just lended itself to that being smack in the middle of the painting. This also, a great use of design as far as putting that in the middle. Not sure what I understand about this. Maybe that's the firmament up there, but overall, really nice piece.
It's the goal,
That's the what?
the goal.
The goal.
It's by the end of the stratosphere.
Oh,
It's by
okay.
the end of the stratosphere.
There you go. All right, good. How are we on time?
Pretty good.
You're actually on time.
Okay, good.
Yeah, don't leave anything out.
I'm a fast painter and a quick critiquer, so. Number 10. Okay, the edges on this one are super soft. You got to look at this one pretty close. But the texture is really what is leading this. This texture is a design element. So it's all about the texture at this point. The soft edges on the portrait are super soft, and then which leads to I'm not sure if these are snow flakes or just a design element of the white parts. But it kind of adds to the and it unifies the whole piece. So if it was snow, watch the variation of sizes of your snowflakes. Make sure they're all different and spaced and clustered together. But if it's a design element, yeah, and it's supposed to be polka dots. Watch the clustering down in here versus the bigger shape that's open up in here. Have a design intent for these dots and follow through on that I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, but well placed and good overall design on this. All right, good. And 11. All right,
Flower boxes.
I love these geraniums,
Yep.
right? What good angle in here? The use of diagonals is a super subtle way of getting some energy into your paintings. Good perspective in here. Look at the value of the flowers themselves up against the green, and you look at value by squinting or by me taking my glasses off. If all these shapes kind of blur together, the values are for the main subject are kind of weak. I would say pick one of these clusters. Maybe this one is probably your center of interest, and then go with that, and then diminish this one a little bit more because we're split right now between the two of them.
I was trying to capture the heat of the day. Do you feel it more?
Yes. Yeah. Was it a sunny day?
It was, it was a sunny day, but it was a misty day.
Okay.
It was just a heavy humidity,
Yeah.
and I was trying to capture that. It was just a different atmosphere, and I thought, wow,
Yeah.
I could feel the heat.
And watch again contrast. Pay attention to contrast. It's a design principle of design. The high contrast between that green and that dark,
Yeah,
this high contrast down in here, these are all catching my eyes, my attention, my awareness. So I'm drifting away from here and I'm looking at, so that's where mindfulness comes in to play while you're actually making the painting. Where is my eye going? And just pay attention to where your eyes are focusing on. If they're being pulled away, you as the art director need to quiet them down. This actor here is overstating their lines. Soften the edge, diminish the contrast, lighten the value, whatever you have to do to redirect the attention back to those flowers. Okay? Okay, good. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, thanks again for inviting me out here. We're going to continue on these critiques, and I've been told to turn up the heat a little bit. So we're going to get rough. Okay, on this one, this looks like a watercolor or acrylic. Watercolor tells me the glass, but again, it is a watercolor. Great story, intriguing composition. The watch the tangents again. We talked about tangents earlier, where the rump coming off, touching this mat here, the corners. Look at corners as arrows. This arrow is pointing to me right here on the edge. This corner is touching this corner down here. This one is touching arrow. The corners are arrows and leading us out of the painting. And because it's touching this strong vertical and this strong vertical, our eyes are distracted over here and not enough detail in the center of interest. Give us a little bit more detail or even texture on this. And again, get some coolness into that flesh. It's all light and dark flesh tones. You'll be amazed at how alive flesh becomes when you add that cool element in there. But I love the little touch of red in here against that blue. Very nice. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
If you recrop this.
Okay.
And you have the heat go off the.
Come tighter.
Made it smaller.
That might work better. You don't need to get the whole, the rump in right there, right at the edge. So come in, because the story is what those kids are doing on that blanket. Okay, this is a nice still life. Beautiful work in the vase. Watch and vary your edges. Variety is another principle of design. It looks like it was all cut out. Use the softness of that edge to your advantage. Use the hardness of that edge. The sharp edge is the sharpest edge, and it's treated all around here. Then you go the next level down is a firm edge where it's just blending a little bit. Then a middle value edge, all the way to a soft and invisible edge. But play with your edges a little bit more. You don't have to have all the sharp edges all around. And play with lighting too. This looks very flat to me. These sunflowers have form. This ball is like a little cap inside, and these petals are like surrounding it, and there's shadows in here. And then this gray element right in here just stops. I would continue this gray just a little bit beyond here, just so it goes back, rather than just stop here and then start there. Okay? Okay, good. All right. This is very similar to the first painting we saw with the house off in the distance. That house was a human element in the design. This is now capturing a living creature. So this is going to be our center of interest. Watch the placement of this center of interest smack in the middle of the painting. You know, put this over here or recrop it. You know, do we need all this over here to tell us the story? And then bury your edges. They're all kind of soft and gooey. It's okay. This is a pastel, so it's okay to have some harder edges. When you're doing water, especially, vary the stroke on that water. Get some vertical element in that. That'll help stop the eye from going off. Right now, it's all horizontals, and we're just getting dizzy looking at this. You know, give us a vertical to help us stop the eye from going off the page. I like the little blue accents, especially in the bird. Where there is no sky in the painting, find opportunities to put sky in the painting. It's going to make your paintings much more real. They did this here in a little bit of blue here, a little here, a little here, and here. That makes this so much more real. You learn this by doing plein air. When you're looking at plein air, you're seeing a little study down in here in the woods, let's say, you're seeing the leaves as they flicker in the light. You're seeing the blue sky reflecting off those leaves, and you're putting that sky in your painting. Even though you're not seeing any blue sky, it's in the scene. So they know this because I think this person has done plein air painting. Am I right? Okay. So there's a little element of blue sky in this scene, even though there's no sky in this scene. Okay, good. Love the cow portraits. All right. This is number 15. Gallery frame is good. If you're going, you know, true gallery frame, go a little wider on your stretcher bars. You know, spend a little more money and get the fat frame if you're going with that. Well done. This is well painted. Get more life into those eyes. Those eyes are dead. As Richard Shaw says, they're doll eyes in Jaws. If you've seen Jaws, eyes have so much life in them. There's like 12, I think they count 12 different highlights within the eye itself. You know, certainly get a highlight in there, but there's reflected light. Get that blue sky in there. A little touch of blue in the eyeballs. A little blue on the wet nose will reflect that blue light. This is what photos steal from us if we paint too much from photographs. where we end up copying what we see on the photograph and not going further beyond remembering what we saw in that from taking that photograph. So get more life in those eyes, but beautiful brush strokes in here. All the crisscross pattern in the you gotta see this in real life. This looks like, you know, that sheen of a sweaty cow. Beautiful variety of strokes in here. Okay, good. That's an easy fix. You know, a little more. Anytime you have eyes, and that those are like, that's where your eyes are going, is to meet that other eye. These look like banana boats. This is what I first came up with. Very abstract, very fun painting. The artist was free to throw this paint down. And for some reason, there's two of them. I'm not getting it, but there's some beautiful, brilliant strokes of color in here that you really need to pay attention to, and like especially right in here. This looks like the prominent boat. This one looks further back in depth, but vary the spacing. If this is a bigger boat, these should be a little bit bigger and wider. So give us clues as to help us understand the depth of this painting by making these a little bigger than those. But beautiful, strong contrast between the lightest light and the darkest dark in here is just catching my eye in here. I think the waves could be a little more defined. So these waves in the foreground are going to be bigger and bolder, and flatten these out as they get further and further back. You got the same big bold waves up in here. They should be down in here. So flatten these out. Okay.
This is, when you know what this is about. This is about the Great Wave. There were 3 boats, only 2 have returned.
Okay.
So that's the 2 boats coming back.
Okay.
One was a watercolor, this is not.
Okay.
And one was in, very tight, that's not.
Okay.
But it's a sort of a mention to it, and Mount Fuji is in the background.
Oh, okay.
So
That wasn't the wave, it was, okay.
Mount Fuji's.
Got it. Okay. Well, I love this one. Very graphic element. I didn't realize it was a matchbook until I saw the side. Clever idea. I really love the graphic novel-like design on this. Super strong, so well painted. This should be hanging in a museum, or definitely some man cave. So I don't have anything more to say. It's a beautiful, innovative design. I wish I saw the matches on the side. I don't know how you would hang that differently then, but again, good color composition, color harmony rather. You got the good greens and a nice gray background. Whenever you have color, bright color in your scene, know how to paint your grays. The gray of this is making this orange just explode. So when I do flowers, florals, hydrangeas especially, I always have gray within that variations of white. It just makes the white whiter when you have variations of cool and warm grays next to it. So good use of color on this one. Okay, this is number 18. A little more on the eyes. Again, us being humans, the eyes are the first thing we look at or make connection to another living creature. Look for those opportunities to add the sky into those eyes. There's going to be blue reflected on this side, picking up the blue of the sky, or if it's a cloudy sky, there's going to be some cool elements, lavender, purple, in those eyes. Get some reflections in the white of the eye, or right in the corner here, and then pick up some of that blue in the nose. Again, I'm all about contrast. When I'm looking, my eyes go to, we're human beings, we are super sensitive to contrast, whether it's light versus dark, the contrast of grays versus, color, values. If there is no contrast down in here, it just kind of all blends together. And the weight of this painting is up in here. So it's all about the ears to me.
If you broke up the background, the dark part with trees, would that help that a little bit, do you think?
I love the spottedness of how this was treated, of this fawn. This acts as a camouflage for the fawn while it's able to grow. I would have liked to have seen maybe a camouflage effect just kind of blending in. I love how the values just kind of disappear from the value of that green to the value of the body. It's super subtly, and it's almost camouflaged. Just continue that. Get some of this green up in here, the darker greens, like you said.
What would you do at the top of the painting?
And then up in here, I would diminish, if the eyeballs are the center of interest, I would diminish the contrast between those ears and that black background.
Just grade it down?
In value wise, yeah, bring some of this middle value up into here, and then maybe gray some of the, almost like a shadow casting over the ear. It would just temper the contrast of those ears down a little bit. And then, I'm not seeing where the light's coming from, so it's like a very flat painting.
Looks like headlights.
Yeah.
Here, there's headlights.
So if you guys are painting from photographs, select better photographs. Select photos that have a light source, shadow, indirect light, reflected light back into the shadow. These are all things, when you're looking and studying shadow on form, on 3D form, there's nothing stronger that will make your paintings come alive when you understand how light follows and falls over that 3D form. You almost have it here, in here. It's kind of flat under here. It could be a little deeper under here, but beautiful, soft textures on their nose. Okay. Get outside more and paint, or bring subjects inside, and so you're looking at lights, real light on 3D forms. It'll help your photo painting immensely. So I teach at the Palette and Chisel. I teach watercolor and I teach oil painting from photographs, and I instill in this class that you do not have to copy the photograph. In fact, do not copy the photograph. I want your paintings to look better than the photographs. I want more color, more contrast, especially where you want your eyes to land in the center of interest. Exaggerate, use exaggeration, use simplification. Simplify the areas where you don't need a lot of information. That's okay to do, you know. This is a beautiful painting, number 19.
Called Northern Fjord.
It's gorgeous. I love the texture, the super subtleness in the background here. Watch almost the split horizon. Emphasize one or the other. I think you can probably emphasize the mountains and the range, since this is the fjords. But beautiful way of handling this. Is this a watercolor or acrylic? Acrylic. Great texture. Good, use of opaque versus transparency in this. And then the negative painting of this is just brilliant. I often use this technique of, just having an underpainting of this middle value to dark value, and then laying in your opaques in a negative fashion, carving out the shapes that you want to leave. Beautiful way of doing this. Again, my only comment on this would be watch the halvesies on the horizon. Okay. Okay, number 20. This has got some really good shapes, both big and small shapes in here. The big shape is coming up like this. So it's a nice C composition, more or less, in here. And that's going to be the inside of the C in here. Very fine details within. Is this a digital?
Yes.
Very fine details in here, but it's bringing us up and around to the scene. I would say pick an area up in here maybe, and give us a little bit more higher contrast, whether it's pure color, whiter whites, darker darks, and diminish this area. Give this a layer. If this is in Photoshop, give this a layer, and then just give us a nice gradient of Gaussian blur down in here, more or less. I grew up on Photoshop. I love Photoshop. Good. I'm making little figures even in here. So don't discount digital, because it's and if you understand the principles and elements of design, use those to your advantage and how they work together to create amazing, intriguing, beautiful art. So when you understand those principles of design and elements of design, your art is going to go to a whole new level. So take this winter and just Google elements and principles of design, and you'll get a whole list of those, and then just research each one. You know, line is probably the first element of design. Elements are things you can actually touch or see or feel. Line, texture, color, value, shape, these are all elements of design. Versus momentum is a principle of design. Direction is a principle of design. Harmony is a principle of design. So, good job. I think you've got one more? Two more.
Two more. I'm handling this one because the frame is falling apart.
Oh, okay.
It's an experiment. Taking risks, all right.
Yeah.
Beautiful watercolor. Again, you guys must be doing limited palettes or color harm. You know, I'm seeing a lot of limited palettes, a lot of different color harmonies type stuff. But this is another use of very nice use of watercolor, oils and acrylics. I guess all mediums try to do this. This is an excellent example of simplifying the shadows. Get your shadows in nice and first bold, as bold as you can, and then don't touch them. If you start screwing up your shadows, your washes, you're gonna screw up the whole painting. Leave that simplification of that wash. Let it do its thing. This person did that, and it makes that painting so much stronger. So the strength of this painting is in the face. Everything else is super simplified. And it just makes me want to relax and just wait it out. But look at how they treated the shadow. They just lost that whole mouth into that shadow. And you as the viewer finish that story. You finish that scene, and it makes it so much more real for you, the viewer. Now that you know that, do that in your own work. Use simplification as a design principle, and it will make your paint. It's a total paradox. It'll make your paintings so much stronger if you understand how simplification works, especially in your shadows. Allow your light to win the day. Don't let your shadows win. So cut the detail out of your shadows. Let those go into the background, and your light parts of your story should win. Okay? Good one on this one. Okay, 22. I wrote down a great smile, great personality. Who is this? You gotta look at this for the blue in the face. She put blue parts in her face. It makes this painting come alive. There's sunlight in this painting, even though you don't see the sky. I mean, there's sky in this painting, even though you don't see blue in the sky, because it's so well lit, and that life is in the face. So, great job. This is so well done. It's not a big part of the painting, and yet the way she treated this dress and this blouse. Super simple. It's there. Doesn't have a whole lot of detail, but it makes the face come alive. And it's so hard to paint emotion, like a smile in a painting. So you did a great job. Look at how well lit this, I don't know if you use a photograph, but whoever that photographer was did a phenomenal job of lighting you. Or if you just had a mirror and painted that, it was great. Photo?
I admit it.
But look at how lights on a 3D form, whether it's a floral, flowers, a vase, whatever, makes this painting come alive. It's gorgeous. Yeah, good job, Linda. All right, I think that's it. Again, my only comment is I'm seeing a common theme of light, real light, the sunlight in your paintings. Understand that there's two light sources in the sky, whether it's outside or in the still life. There's going to be this warm light, your main light source, and then a cooler light, which is the blue sky overhead. And that's affecting all of your shadows. And that blue is getting reflected and bounced up into your shadow sides. So if you're painting a tree, look for that primitive shape, that primitive form of a tree, which is just a sphere. And get that hot spot on one side, get the shadow side on the other side. You're going to get reflected light. Sunlight's going to bounce on that warm ground and reflect warm light up into the shadows. You're going to get blue light on the edges of those trees. And just be aware of that, and your paintings will just come alive. So with that, thank you so much. Oh, okay.
You can talk about the work.
Yeah.
You can expand on the beauty. Or not.
Are we doing the honorable mention?
Yep.
Hey, Steve, when you're doing this, could you stand even with the,
Yes.
whatchamacallit?
I don't think that's silly that I could do that.
All right. This is an honorable mention. The thing that captures me is the mystique between this character and the boat, and how well this painting has been done. The confidence in brushstrokes, the texture, the story, and the overall design. I think this one gets an honorable mention. So, great job. Is that for sale? It should go great over any fireplace. Third place.
We got the ribbon. Oh, the ribbon. There it is.
Third place. All right. Again, great use of value, limited palette, brilliant strokes of brushstrokes, confident brushstrokes, story, design. Line is one of the first elements of design. Look at how all these leading lines are coming in together to bring us to that story. Brilliant use of color. Again, Van Gogh could not have painted this any better. So, great job. Keep it up. Who did that one? Good job. You have all your ears, right? All right, second place.
This is Mary Haas. Mary, where are you? There we go.
Great job, Mary. This is exquisite.
Is that your mom?
Yeah, she died last March.
Oh,
Bless
Very
her.
suddenly, so this was my
beautiful,
birthday.
beautiful piece. Yeah. Um, again, story, my three elements: story, design, and freshness or confidence. This has all three. It has story in spades, but um, again, the freshness. You must have been crying when you painted. I feel it. You know, we all feel it. I'm going to feel it this week, holding my 2-month-old grandson. So yeah, great job. Congratulations. All right, first place,
Oh, Linda.
Linda. Again, um, keep painting, Linda. You got great skills. Um, yeah, it's I'm looking for this is oil, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I'm seeing elements of transparency in here too. So, really play that up, especially up in here. You can't really get this vibrant gold with pure paint. You have to have it um, transparent, meaning, so play with your transparencies. You can get some gorgeous transparent washes down in here. Look at Fragonard and his paintings. Most of those, especially the girl reading the book, the profile reading the book, her whole backside and the pillow, all transparent washes, and it just holds the painting together. So not all painting, not the whole painting doesn't need to be opaque paint. So play with your transparencies and your paintings will come alive. Like this, there's just elements of transparency up in here. So what transparency does is on a white canvas is allows the light to penetrate the paint and it bounces off the white of the canvas, illuminating the paint on the way out. So that's a ray trace of light coming through. It's like a physics thing. It bounces off and it illuminates that light. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because so often the canvases are toned and that's really pushed a lot to tone your canvas. But I always start with a white canvas because I like the whole transparent effect.
That's what makes this brilliant. I don't tone my canvases.
Oh, you don't?
I'll use when I'm oil painting I'm using all transparent oil paint for my underpaintings, and I'll design my whole painting in about 10 minutes with transparent color. That's the wash I put on, and I'll go from warm to cool. I'll look for that main gradient of warm to cool. Get my middle values to darks in. If you can get and save your darks as transparent, they'll even be darker. So, yeah. And then, have you glazed
Sorry,
have you glazed any of this yet?
I varnished it, but I did not do the glazing method if you're talking about
Yeah.
the classical glazing.
Yeah.
No, no.
You should play with that. Yeah, I think you're at that level that you can do that. So, again, glazes are transparent washes that control the temperature of the final dry painting. So if you want to push coolness, throw a transparent like ultramarine blue or cobalt blue, which is get a good cobalt blue that's transparent, and then just wipe it off. And then the warmth, the warmth I'll use is still to grain is a nice warm, super hot Indian yellow, transparent yellow earth. Just warm everything up and then play with those glazes and keep them transparent. And then the scumbling is glazing with opaque paint. That's and you get some really cool dynamic effects that way. So great job, Linda.